All right, all you devils out there, Sam here with you. Oh, it's Monday the 13th, so happy Monday. I apologize we couldn't get the live stream rolling this morning. Members, you'll know Money Crypto is out today. We tried to kind of make it happen early this morning, but we ran into a little technical glitch transferring the graphics and all the other stuff over that he does. Essentially, he, for lack of a better way to describe it, runs the board for me during the live stream. And we just couldn't get it together. So I apologize for that. We will be back on tomorrow morning for the live stream on traditional assets. So look for that tomorrow morning around 9:30 Central Time. So what we'll do here is we'll just do the exact same thing, same format here. I'm just going to record the video and then I will release it. Obviously members first and then YouTube subs. I'll put this out a little bit later today. And then we'll include a little, what do I want to call it? Listing of damn near I'm going to call it a table of contents, but it might be, but it's just a listing of which assets are recorded at what time in the video. So if you're interested in only one or two of them, you don't have to labor through all of it. Although there's almost always some little bit of a nugget that can be taught through the process and just through repetition of watching, learning, seeing the same thing happen over and over again. I think that there's value in that. So first up, I've got a couple from member ZZ Anderson. Oh, where are you, ZZ? Oh, shit. Where did I put it up here? Had it right in front of me. There we go. Okay, so I got two from ZZ. Oh, ZZ always puts up solid content. He's been with us for a while now. So I've got, looks like I've got yearn and lisk. Now, one of these you got stopped out. I'm not positive which one it was. It looks like this one here in yearn, you're teed up for this. Oh, looks like you got about a 13.5 to 1 teed up here coming out of this golden zone here. So, but I'm going to look at both of them because we got you posted lisk and yearn. Yeah, so this is yearn. I guess we'll do yearn first. So this is yearn to the dollar 1 hour on crack, and this is what he sent me with his proposed count. Now this is a tricky one. No, what I'm going to do here is because when I have this, I have to have these crosshairs here. So I just recreated the count here. Oh, let's see. He sent me, this is a 60-minute, but it's hard for me. I need to get a little perspective, so I will pull out to something larger here and just take a look at this. Even, oh God, let's go out and leave me a little bit further. It has a, yearn obviously has been just a monster, right? An incredible success. But the count here coming off of the low here after we hit the exchange, put in the very, very typical low that happens after that. This is not really a clean, here's the obvious. You don't see a clear 5 coming out of that. Oh, it looks like it. I mean, you can kind of work backwards into it. I mean, this looks like something. There was your 5 here, so we end with a diag. To finish that, kind of working backwards, that's pretty clear 5. So it looks like you'd have to do W, X. Oh, fuck, can't do it. So we'd have to go A, B, C to expand the B because that 5 is so clear. I'd want to use that. So it's a tricky one, right? It's not obvious here, but that 5 is clear. So what I'll do when it's not like, okay, well, obviously I can see the 5 here as it is off of this pivot. I just kind of said, where are my 5s? Where are my 3s, right? This could be a triangle here. Looks like this is, you got to use this for your 1, 2. So there's the 3. You just kind of work backwards through that, and it's, we're not going back in time, but essentially, I mean, if you wanted to simplify it, you could do swing, retrace. Now, are we going down further? I mean, again, I've been kind of harping on this. That's all the market ever does, right? So all we're, there's a lot of complexity, right? I'm certainly oversimplifying it. A lot of complexity in that, but at its core, we got to swing low, we got to swing high, and we retrace to the 50. So with that said, right, we can kind of look here and go, all right, well, all of this seems to have been the support, just kind of looking back at prior price action. So now with that, okay, I'm in some sort of a correction here. I don't love this count, but I can see a couple of spots here. So if I need to go back and work through that, I don't worry about ZZ's ability to work a count through that. He's a skilled Elliottician, and I don't, part of our goal here is to kind of review where people are in their progression as technicians. I know he's always puts up solid content, so I don't really worry that he didn't label this, and he's focused over here anyway, but it's always kind of a good idea. You don't want to trade just in just a little pocket of time. You want to put it in context so you know where you are and what's likely to follow. So with that said, let me having looked here at an hour, I guess we'll go down to the 60, which is what he sent. So with that here, if I go to the 60, let me reset here. Now, let's see, he sent it to me out of log. Okay, so out of log here. Now, you have this battle here. Oh shit, I guess I got to pull back here. In log or out of log? Right. Well, we've got just this is one of the great successes. I mean, the range here is just insane. We went up to 94.5 just to round it. So we've got just this massive range. So I would suggest, at the very minimum, a review of this in log here. I've got some notes here. At the very minimum, look at it in log scale, right? I mean, the kind of the rule of thumb is you start at 3 to 1, 4 to 1 the range, then you definitely want to be looking in log scale. But be careful about when you're switching in and out of log. Now, if you zoom in to a very small range here, then you can get out of log. But try to avoid the mistake of saying, well, this is better in log, so I'm going to trade it in log. But then when you go down to actually execute stop placement at targets, you get out of log. Or if you don't like it in log, but you like it better in arithmetic, stay consistent, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So as we look at it here in log, I mean, it's certainly, a 5-year-old can spot the 5 here, right? I mean, this is just not, there's your 3, right? It's just not hard to spot. So we get a potential. Now it's damn near well, it is, right? We get a triple bottom down here into the support down here at what do we call it 25,000 down here, just for kind of round numbers. And we pop off of this, so pretty good. Oh, it's a little sloppy on the way down. So it looks like you'd have to go A, B, and you got a very slight overlap here, which kind of a little monkey in the wrench of the impulse here. This is kind of a judgment call, right? So you could probably fit the diag in. So you'd probably have to you'd have to do it like this, I guess, into your A, B, C down here. A, B, C, A, B, C. So you can get the diag done. Now, coming off of that, we get a rip-roaring, crystal clear impulse. Again, you just can't, it's hard to miss that. Now, as he sent it to me here, I'm just going to propose an alternate to you, ZZ, just to look at, because the way you've got it posted up here, we'd have to dig the 1, 2 out of this. And if we're going to complete the 5 here, damn it, hang on. Glad I've got my mute button today. If we're going to complete the 5 here, boy, this is a pretty substantial imbalance between the 1, 2, and the 4, right? They don't, it doesn't look right as I've been taken to using that terminology here. I'm going to pull that off just for a second. So I started looking here and say, could we get something else done in here that would be a little more consistent with the idea that we're looking for a reaction here? Then we know an algo will participate here at the golden zone. If we get a reaction here, is there another way we could count this to avoid what would be just this horrible distortion of time to go 1, 2, 3, all the way out here 4, 5? Now, is it possible? Well, of course, right? But it makes you pause for a second and go, is there another way I could look at this that might make more sense? Because what he wants to do, and understandably, is look for the entry down here. Well, essentially, he's in between the 618 and the 65. Great spot for an entry. And just to reinforce what I was talking about last week, just a tweet I saw from another educator, which is very much what I'm essentially always trying to teach you guys, is you want to try and enter as close to that moment and that location where you know you're wrong, right? So to minimize the risk. So you got a 13.5 to 1 kind of trade setup here with very low risk, but in all he's after is just to return back to the support. And you could kind of drag this, if we do it this way, kind of drag this over all the way pretty much. I mean, this has been a pivot level that the market has, we clustered around here. So to go up for that, so the idea would be coming out of here, he's labeled it. Oh, shit, did he do it or I do it? I can't remember. So something like this, right? So we're trying to come out of here. Now, that could be, if this is going to hold as the 1, that could be, of course, could be the 3, but given the scale here, that looks like that more likely be the 1 of the 3. So we're talking about an extremely bullish count to come out of here. So you're kind of stuck with a bit of a time imbalance either way. If this is the 5 that takes us into the 1, well, we could get this done via WXY. Oh, shit, let me get down to, there we go. So A, B, C. So you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get your C. So you'd have A, B, C. Then triangle into the X. So we go W, X. Now, are we done there? Hard to call, right? It's not a clean, but I certainly have the makings of it, right? So it could be A, not much of a 3 there. Are we done there? You'd like to see it come a little further, which I think is what ZZ's after here. Come down and look at how tight that is. You'd have to give that a little more, ZZ, just a little bit more. It can't be right, because now, again, this is, as I'll often say, used to be one of the best kept secrets. Now, everybody knows it. So you might want to give that a little bit more, because we are seeing more and more times they'll break the 65 and then rip it just a bit, right? So just something to watch for. And then others, of course, right? This algorithm is still running all the time. You'll see it pivot at the 65, right? So it could be a little bit of a recalibration for some of them, because we start to see a little bit more, just a short little break. And then after that, it'll just rip right out of here. So it's not an ideal, I don't know, 1 hour. That's not a great looking setup. But this move here makes you think that's a 3. Oh, shit, hang on. Always forget to turn those off. Okay, so now for me, because it's a little unclear to me exactly, this is a bit of a educated guesstimate. I'd want to see a reaction down here. So if we're going to come a little bit lower, which is what you'd want. Now here we're pinging the 618 to the tick. You'd want to see this come down. I want to see a reaction. Show me they're going to, well, we can look at the RSI. We can anticipate the reaction. Now, because we're in log scale, we don't have the same level of absolute certainty here. We're making an educated guess based on what we can see that the algorithm will fire here in log scale. So because of that, I'd want to see a little bit of a kick and then a little bit of a retrace, right? So let's just try and get into the 3 of the 1 at this degree. If that's going to hold as the Y, and this finishes the correction, then because it's a little questionable, I'd wait for the first retrace, right? Now, of course, you risk that coming, right? And you leave some on the table, but then even if you got that size of a reaction, the bigger it is, right? So say you just got the boom, boom. Well, the people that catch that move, right, per the numbers we just looked at, that's going to be very tempting to take some profit, which would create the retrace, bring you back into some of that support. Now you take it there. Just another one to, not that your count may not well be what we experience here, and we go A, B, C, and I can see the idea being here we'd kick up back towards the median line, maybe the golden zone here for the B, and then come back down for the C. That I suppose there'll be kind of part and parcel to what's happening in the broader crypto space. But so I just throw that out there for you, ZZ, as another, again, split it, have a few alternates, what I'd suggest. And that might be another way to get in here and play this as the end of the correction. So it's not that one is right or wrong. They're both a little bit, less than ideal. So all I'm really doing here is just giving you another one to think about. All right, so with that, let me move on because you gave me 2 of them. So the next one is Lisk here. Oh, shit, what'd you give me? I can't remember what you gave me. Or if this is the one you're stopped out of. Bear with me a sec, guys. Let me see if I've got... This is Lisk. So it looks like this must be the one that he took, right? So, okay, so per the comments, got stopped out last night in a profit. So it looks like he took the first reaction here out of the golden zone, and as it corrected, he was stopped out in profit, right? So there's shit, I can't script this stuff. What a perfect example, right? So he got the initial kick. Hang on. Whew, allergies are bad today. He got the initial kick. Now here comes the retrace, right? So it looks like he's looking at going again, but just to get that reaction note, not the 618, right? Golden zone. So as we get that pop and then retrace, it looks like he's trying to go so golden zone, golden zone, golden zone. Looks like he's trying to get it again with some pretty, substantial upsides here. So I went back and kind of dug in here, a few things here. And I just went back. Oh, let's see. You did send it to me on Kraken, right? Kraken. Okay, so we did. All right, so I just went back and said, let me get all the history on Kraken and see where we are. Well, there's a bit of this is a bit of a fucker, right? So you've got this swing, this retrace, but then we get the impulse. Now, given the depth of the retracement here, either we're going to work through a 5-3, 5-3, 5 leading diagonal, or, this is just hits the exchange. Here's the classic up and then back down to support. It remains to be seen whether this has to go 1-2. Again, right, with the overlap of that kind of depth, right? The only way out of this would be through a 5-3, 5-3, 5 leading diagonal, which is controversial unto itself. As purists will tell you, perhaps that's not a valid pattern. I disagree with that, only because I see it pretty regularly. But note here, so if the reason I would be inclined to kind of stick with that is here's the 1-2, right? So right off the bat, 1, now we're in perfect spot for a 2, so we get the corner pocket, right? So there's your 80%. I mean, just pause for a second and think how many videos I've shown where I say that there's your 80%. I mean, certainly thousands, right? So, having said that, I can't imagine anyone ever creating a swing and a retrace where it's not over here, right, or here, right? That's not the same, right? You want to have a little time, right? That's where you improve those odds in the sense of pattern there. So the 1-2 right in the pocket here, boom, right sideways, right? You might have been panicked a little bit here, but really, what's it doing, right? We're not going up, we're going down, we're just going sideways. So there's no reason, right? Always the caveat, right? As I try and remind you guys, right? As long as that pivot holds. Even though we go sideways here comes the big thrust, right? And we get it right here. So now we're going to waffle around the median line. Seems to be a bit of a magnet here. Here's the kicker that takes us up. So 1, 2, 3. But here's what I wanted you to see. I mean, this is, look at the 1 relative to the 4, right? This stuff does not happen randomly. Now also, so look what we're, oh shit, hang on. Look what's happening right in there. So you're coming down. Again, it almost feels like I set it up, right? I look at these in real time with you guys. 1, 2, look where the 4 is, right? Not only does it spare the overlap of the 1 by about 2 ticks, look where it hit, right to the Vegas wave, right to it. So coming off of that, then we got this kind of sloppy, it's kind of a choppy run up here, but it gets her done. Well, you have to finish it with a diag, it looks like. So you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got that overlap. So you'd finish with the 5 here. Now this is kind of the same kind of thing. It's a bit of a free fall. Oh, right off the bat, right? It's just trying to simplify. It looks like without going through, and then that's probably. Well, this all looks self-contained. That, you might have a little triangle in there. Right, you might have it right here, A, B, C, D, E. So that might be your B here. Oh, kind of A, B, C, D, E. Then 1, 2, 1, 2. Looks like you'd have to dig it out here. 3, 4 to get you to finish with the 5. Now here's, I'm going back in history. Let's go to the 2 hour and stay focused over here. Because this is where the opportunity is now. I think there's a setup in here. Yeah. So this is the one. Oh, pardon me. Lisk. That's the one. That's the one he was stopped out at. Okay. So we've gone 1. This was a golden. This was between the 50 and the golden zone. Now we go up here. Now coming back down. So we get our 5 coming off of this low. So if this is the pivot low, which with this following certainly makes sense. Well, here's the 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Doesn't overlap. And we finish with this kind of it's a little ugly, but we get a diagonal to finish it. Now, I cannot make this stuff up. You have to do this, right? So here's the swing, here's the retrace. So what do we have right here, right? Golden corner pocket, right? It's my signature trade. So here's, again, it tags the 65. Now here's the 80%. Right, so does that mean I'm getting out here? Well, remember, if it's not going to pause and pivot at the median line, you're anticipating the push all the way to the other side, which is what it does, right? And then it bounces, and where does it bounce? Right at the Vegas wave. Looks like a 50 as well, right? So you're getting, we know clearly it's algo driven, right? We got plenty of algos in here. So here, as we're right back in that same pocket as we were for the 2. All right, well, if that's AB, right, do we look like we're done here, or are we going to have to relabel this as some sort of a combination? Well, this is kind of a straight shot down, so kind of working backwards. Oh, I'm not sure it matters here, until we get something that breaks out of this wedge here. So here we sit, just kind of going sideways. I'm going to take this one. Oh, well, so you can see here that target has already been met, right? Maybe second target is down here. This is 4-ish sideways, not progressing the trend. We're not really correcting the trend. We're just kind of going sideways here. So ideally, you'd want to see that kick down one more time. So I could get, then you might even have to put the median lines back on it, right? So you'd say, okay, do I get? God, I never get the first click. Do I get any benefit from that? All right. So if we come down something like this, well, here this algo is going to get. Well, pardon me. Yes, that will be it, right? So you always look to the left. So this algo has already gotten its target. We'd have second target right here on this pivot, and then we'd have the target here coming from this 50 golden zone right here. So that might set you up rather nicely there. So this is going to have to be, oh shit. Ugh. Well, it looks like you'd have to pull your 1-2 here. But boy, again, you're back into that just terrible imbalance here. So I'd be a little cautious here until I'd love it if we come down one more time. I would not do anything right where it sits right there. You have no edge there. It's just you're just in a box, right? You're between 150 and a target. There's no real pattern or structure to it. It looks like it's just corrective. I'd want to see it pop out of here one way or the other here. And if it pops up, that is almost worse, right? So you kind of want that to come down here, because then you can get a little more conviction into, all right, well, where am I? I'm coming all the way back here to some prior support. Are we going to overlap the 1? 1, 2, pardon me. We've already finished that. So now as I put that in the full context, this would be bringing us back. So here's the completed impulse. Here's the 3, I'm simplifying here, to bring us back down into some of all of that structure here. You can see resistance. Now, does that offer the support? Well, if we hit that target, remember, target is not a buy signal, but it's just a place where you can anticipate a reaction. So I'd wait for that right there. The swing, and then the first retrace. So somebody's going to get the pivot. Hang on. God, that just must be Monday. Somebody's going to get the pivot. I want the retrace, right? Then I want to see how that does. All right, God, I'm long-winded today. I was 22 on the. I don't mean to be, but I just can't seem to do it any faster. Okay, so completed. Looking for the 2. So 1, 2 coming out of here. You're looking to get into the 1 of the 3. So that's your money wave. You got a big fat target up here, and of course, right? Let's not forget what would be the next thing you'd do, right? If you got that, if we come down here for this C. I'd like to think I don't need to remind you that this would be the first thing you do. Right now, there's your target. Now, now you frame it. You put a little structure around it. So you're just adding to the probabilities here. Can I get to the median line? Well, you could do it here, or you could do it farther out. But here, at least I've got a good framework here. Now, if it goes 1, 2, that's likely not going to be the 3. I mean, could be, right? Could be. Can't eliminate it. Where's our target for a 3? Way up here. Right? So 1, 2, looking left, right? 1, 2, there's the big 3. So this would be 1, 2. You're looking for the monster here, and you got a kind of a confluence point up here. So that's how I'd look at it. I'd be cautious about it. And now, of course, unless you're just, really, the difference here is not huge. I mean, you could start laddering in right now, right? Then the anticipation that I'm going to ladder in and add incrementally as it comes down here into this structure here, you want to have a stop on it eventually. And if I don't know that I would suggest trading this with leverage, although you could, maybe on the last one, you take a little leverage on it here so you could get a little combo. And then I would just look at that and say, okay, well, I know I've got a technically valid trade. The pattern matches. The time balance here is solid. I'm coming off of an impulse. I've got my correction. I mean, all the ingredients are there. As I like to say, why would you not take that trade? Right? Now, we don't have this yet. I mean, the only reason you wouldn't is because you like something better, right? That is this good, and it has to be better. Or you're out of dry powder. Otherwise, this is just putting an alert on it. I'd put an alert on the break of that low. So we come down here a little further, I'd start buying. Okay. Oh my God, I hope that's not a precursor for how long we're going to go today. All right, so I will note these here so you guys, if you're not interested in one of these coins here, you can skip through. Okay, let me wrap there. ZZ, great work as usual. Very well done. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, guys, next up, I got Wu Wonka here with Serum. I've only looked at this one, so I had to look it up to remember what they are. So this is a centralized exchange built on Solana. Interesting, right? I haven't traded it before, so I had to do a little digging. So if you're unfamiliar with it, you might do a little digging. But what I really want to emphasize here is I might put Wu Wonka in here as most improved. This is some really, really solid work. Very well done, Wu Wonka. Every swing is accounted for. And see, this is what's so solid here is that he's talking to himself as well as talking to us here, as he's been nice enough to give his labeling, which is essentially gives us his thought as to what we're doing. But there's real value in doing this for yourself, right? So if something breaks down or doesn't do what you're anticipating, you're kind of back here going, well, I anticipated here that this was the corner with the front run on the fifth of a truncated fifth. It's just helpful rather than, oh, where did I trade that? Oh, what was I thinking here, right? You kill the count, you put a new count on. I think there's real value, and particularly if you have the discipline to go back and evaluate or reevaluate your entries, your exits, your winners, your losers. This is just very, very well done. So here's what I don't understand. How can we kill this count and have an alternative? All right, so I guess you're looking for an alternative. Well, I don't think you need to kill this count, right? I mean, you're smack dab on it. So well, let's see. We're on the daily here. So here's the typical hit the exchange, pump and dump. So I think that's very valid here to work from this as your starting point here. We're going back to November of 20. Just beautiful, beautiful Elliott count coming out of here, which sets up, or was I just talking about in the last video, right? So what do we do, right? Now, so coming out of this corner, we don't quite, that's a bit of a front run here on the golden zone. As he's noted, golden zone front run, which is not uncommon. You do see this here as algorithms sometimes will front run here to leave latecomers or those looking for that perfect tap into the golden zone to kind of leave them hanging. So it's something you have to watch for. There's always the risk of that if you're trying to get right into it. You're not, you wouldn't anticipate that you'd have a truncation there or that you'd have a front run. But looking at this, once it starts to go, there's a pretty good example of if you weren't really paying attention to this, you might have been thinking to yourself, oh, well, I'll just take the deeper two, right, and take it, right? But it doesn't give it to you. So just reality of trading. It is, well, you can just kind of see here, this level here, and it looks like, so essentially we double bottom, and I mean, it's within a couple of ticks. Spanning diag to finish it. This is great work, Wu Wonka. This is really well done. Can't dissect here. Don't worry about it. Oh, you just call it an ABC. This last finish here, you would have thought maybe one more kick down here. So that's just one of those examples. Now, what I'm going to do here, since we have the swing, this is technically what you wouldn't call it golden because we're not in the golden. So corner pocket, the 80% is realized, right? So here's his 80% getting realized. So once again, right? I mean, we're 3 charts in, all 3 have had a corner pocket or a golden corner that have gone to target. Again, how could anybody watch these videos and then not put a set of median lines on every swing and retracement? It would devise me how anyone would make this the cornerstone of their geometry. That said, so coming off the low here, it's essentially a straight shot to the median line. Right? I mean, this is the deepest. Well, I guess you get a little pullback here. You're getting very shallow pullbacks. It's like a magnet drawing it to the median line, and then boom, where's the first significant reaction we get is once we hit it. Now you're giving me the daily here. I'm going to go down a little bit so I can just dig into this. Well, here, it's very skinny too, right? You'd have been that's one I would have missed because if I was tracking this, I'd have been looking for one more down, right? It doesn't give it to you. It's just. So you don't get it there, but you do get it here, right? You get at least a retest of that structure, and then it goes, and then you get a clear 5 here. So God, this is trading beautifully. Wow, it's very technical. So despite the shallow 2, coming off of that, there's really no other way to label this, right? So he gives you the subdivision here. It looks like the extension's in the 1. Well done, Wu Wonka. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That completes the 3. You got a little gonzo right here where you had all this vol. Oh shit, I don't remember exactly what was causing that. So here now, are we done? Right? It looks like we could be. Now we don't have the median lines here because I must have hidden it. So here I'm gonna pull this. So here's the channel that breaks. So I'm gonna pull. I'm just gonna hide this. So completed impulse. Well, hard to argue with that. And essentially, double top. All right, it's not to the tick, but you're right into previous resistance here. So there's the classic breakout traders anticipating off to the moon. First thing they do is punch him in the face. All right, so straight down here. Now, are we coming back to a little support here? Well, it looks like maybe that's a little check here. Say, how we doing here? Because you could kind of fatten all that up. You can even use this. Are we going to hold? We're going to hold, right? Or is there more supply coming in? Well, that's pretty shallow. So if I'm looking at this, so perhaps the thought is, well, so here's the tag in the median line as we just looked at it. So there's the tag. Well, if this is all done, of course, as he's acknowledging here, you'd want to, oh, let's see, this is it. So I'm just going to pull this over so we can see it a little better. Oh, I'm going to, here, let me put mine on here because it's a little brighter here so we can see it. So here's where you're looking for it. Here's the prior 3-4 down a degree. So reasonable spot. Now that would yet again be a shallow 2. So if this completes the 1, as the implication is here, that we've gone 1, and now we're seeking the 2. All right, 3, 4, 5, got to go somewhere. So let's put them up here. Oh, that'll work. Okay, so we got a 1. Now you're kind of here sitting waiting. What I would anticipate here is we'd come down here into this 3, 4. We'd get our A, B, and you'd get something like that, right? That's what you'd look for. And then again, it's not rocket science, right? So let's just pull some of that over. Okay, well that looks like that could be an area of support. Prior resistance. Now, this is not enough to trade off of, and as to whether or not you want to be shorting this. It's individual preference. The other thing you could do here, because since, we are in log. Did you send it to me in log? Looks like you did not, and I'm in log here, so let me take that out of log. Yeah, you didn't send it to me in log, did you? No, you didn't. Okay, so let's take it out of log. I mean, we have the range here to where that would work, but since you did not send it to me that way, let me look here. I guess I had it set in log from the last one here. So we'll definitely bulls want to see that hold. Great spot here for the 2. What's our range? 14. So we went from 2 to 14. Well, again, that's certainly a large enough move here to look at it, right? 3 to 4 times the range here. So we're well beyond that. So it's not a bad thought to consider it in log scale. But since you didn't send it to me that way, I'm not going to do it because I'm assuming this is how you're looking at it. 1, I'd encourage you to look at both. Let's see how deep the retracement goes. So the push down here looks like it's the start on something. Or I mean, it's a 3, right? So it could be that there's another kick in that. I don't know, we'll see, right? Do we end up with a 5 coming down? There's just really no way to tell here. So you have a technical reaction after a 3 following a 5, but it's not really deep enough. So I'd be patiently watching this. Looks like maybe a regression channel here would be a good idea. Pretty good overthrow. I mean, you could do it with a channel, and then you'd have the overthrow, and you can't. Once you go into log, you can't use you lose the benefit. So let's do it this way. All right, so you might do this. Looks. Oh, let's do the 3 here, and we'll call this the throw over here. A little throw over here. So 1, 2. Right, so the lack of the 2 is our problem. Now this is non-traditional. Oh, here, let's see, because we're in log. Traditional would do it. We'd have to do it this way. And then it makes it a little harder in log, right, to work with channels. But that works, right? So you have the very shallow 2. So I wouldn't try and force fit the 2 into the geometry. It's just, in this case, right, impatient market. So down for the 4 for the 5. So if the 2 is going to come down here and you're going to get that 50 range, well, I would just be patiently waiting here. So this would be on my radar. Now, first question, are we done? Are we kicking off to highs after this 3? Then you're going to recount this, right? Because the top obviously wouldn't be in. But this just looks like it's the start of the correction. So I'd be patiently waiting here. I don't really see any need to go to an alternate here until something changes here, Woo Wonka. I think you're just fine with this count. Oh, you can kind of see you're running into some of this structure over here from the last impulse off of the low. Could be a few spots that obviously stand out. I'd look for all of those as potential zones, areas, pivots. Looks like we're just tapping some of this right here. I'd be mindful of that and looking for all of that, right? You always look left if you've got something to work with here. But here, as he's noted here, the 3-4 down a degree would be an area of interest. I think that looks quite good. But so I don't think there's a trade there yet, either log or out of log. I don't think it's there yet. So I'd want to see what happens here. Do we break this after that 3, or does it roll into a 5? And now you're just down here just waiting patiently, right? And if you get it, I'd like to think, I don't have to say this, but just in case to re-emphasize, if you got that, well, you sure as hell would want to do that. We don't have it here. So, but once we get it, or it could be here, could be here, could be here. But once we get it, you got a clear target here. At least you got the algo target right down here. You got double pairing right here. So you got 1, 2, multiple algo targets here. So if that ends up, if that's the 1 and we head down for the 2, it's not going to be the 3. So you'd be just kind of waiting for that. Now you're getting into your big money wave. All right, very well done. Nice job, Uwanka. Very nice. All right, guys, there's a pretty detailed analysis, and all I did was just kind of comment on his work. He did the work. Well done. Okay, let me keep moving. I got Hibby Boy up next. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, next up, Hibby Boy with Elrond here, EGLD to the dollar tether on Binance. Now, well, this is interesting. Well, so first up, good work here, Hibby Boy. You kind of got it's a bit of a challenge here. So I see what you're looking at here. I understand here you're looking for some bearish divergence up here, which you've got it, right? It's potentially, right, if this starts to pull back. It's a little early to confirm it. So ideally, you'd want to see a pushback towards the 50 because that can kick up higher again. All of these can kick. Look at the MACD. So potentially, there's a little bit more juice there. I think the bigger issue, log or not log, right? So you certainly have the range, right? So we're going from $6 to $253. So certainly the range is warranted, and I understand why you're in here. My hesitation with that here is if we take it out of log. Here, hang on a sec. Let me get those down. I think this might be a bit much here. So it looks to me. Oh, look here. I would, because I had to look them up. Over here I'm just on CoinMarketCap because I wasn't exactly sure what they were about. This looks like such a clear impulse that finishes. I think it might be too much of a stretch here, even though I understand why you did it per going to log scale. That looks like so much like we completed an impulse here. The 3, the 4, and the 5 is also clear, and that we're doing this. I know it's kind of a bitch, right? When we have these kind of ranges, right, which is certainly something we deal with in crypto all the time. So it's not one right, one wrong. I just would encourage you to keep the alternate here that perhaps, let's see. So essentially, if I redo this, let's just take it up a degree. If I can do this on the fly, let's go up to minuet here, and I'll put it in green here. So if we do, that would have to be, now where am I going to find my 2? Where are you 2? Oh, down here. Okay, so if we did something like this, I think it might fit a little bit better. So we're still seeking the 3 here. Now, again, I know we're being out of log here. It's almost like I'm contradicting myself, right? We've got the range, but so it's why you kind of got to look at both and say, does that make sense as a 4? I mean, it could be. I mean, you have a couple of challenges here that it looks to the eye at first glance, it looks like a 5, right? It looks like, what's the big deal here? 4, 5. Well, because we can't correct in a 5, we can't finish Jesus, could we? No, I think that would be too much of a push. So you might have to do. We could simplify it here. I mean, it looks like it might be a combo, but we could simplify it. All right, when in doubt, simplify. Okay, so if that's 1, 2. This is more, I mean, the impact of that would be relative to the depth of retracements that you're looking for and potential targets here. It doesn't change the count here. Now, you do get a little bit of a fly in the ointment here with this sell-off here. Now, it's beautifully technical. We come right back to the support. Well, let's see, this is the data. I'm gonna go, let's go down to the 4 and see how that looks. Now, let me pop this up. Okay, so, well, here, before I do that, let's come out to the 8, right? So first, just again, so this is every video we've had so far, right? So there's your 80%. Again, I mean, how could that not be the foundation of your geometry, right? When you're choosing targets, right? That's how many videos we're in. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 for 4. There's been multiples examples of it, right? Boom, right to it, right? A little pivot there, and then looks like, you know, as I said, trading principle number 3. If we don't pivot there, the market's going to hover around it and then either go one side or the other. So you got your 80% there, and then additionally, right? So you get within that larger corner pocket, you've got the internal corner pocket. So you get 80% within 80%. All right, so this one here, we got a little deeper there. You broke the golden zone here, so you don't get a golden corner, but you get a corner. And so he's put on the traditional Elliott channel with the 1 and the 2. Interesting, right? So that the reason you do that is, you're kind of looking for the 3, but you're anticipating that if it gets challenged again, that can provide the support, which it does twice. So 1, 2, there's your 80%, killed it. So 1, 2, 3. Now this is the tricky bit here where you got to look at it, because of course, one possibility, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that this is the ABC of your correction. But the alternate here, as you're duly noting here, is that we get a 1, 2, 1, 2. See, of course, in log scale, that might look even better here. This is why this is a bit problematic here, as to which one you're going to. Oh, let's see. Looks like you'd go A, B, C for that 2. Now in log scale, it's very shallow. Come out of log, and we're at least, I think this fits. It just seems to fit a little bit better here. So 1, 2. Well, so 2 thoughts, right? So, and this is kind of just welcome to trading, right? This could be 3, 4, 5, right? And then this would be A, B, C, and this would be your 2 here. Now you're in the 3. Well, it looks like you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're working on the 5. So I'm just going to do this as an alternate for you, which you know what, Hibby boy, I'm going to assume you probably already considered that. And you may very well have that as an alternate, but yeah, I'll just do it here because we've got the idea that it's 1, 2, 1, 2, and we got to reconcile that with just the alternate here. It's not one's right and one's wrong. It's just, here's an alternate to consider. Because I can sure get a clean 5 into that, and it looks like 4 might be going in here. So you're just changing the placement here, and it plays better if we come out of log and we go. So now we've still got more. What's over 4 times the range? So it's a tough call. So sometimes it's just a matter of what seems to be fitting better. So if this is 1, 2, 1, 2, well, you'd want to say, well, how does that 2 look? So if I complete the impulse here, and I'm coming in, and that's my 1, I'm coming down for the 2, well, I'm between the 38 and the 50. Note the Vegas wave, right? There it is. It comes right to it, and he's got it faded a little bit, which I think is dangerous, because that actually makes it easier to go eye blind to it, where you don't pay attention to it anymore. It's somewhere in the mix, but it literally splits the lips, right? It does it here as well. So if that's 1, 2, well, that looks like a contender for a 3. I start doing a little measuring here. Oh, okay. If that's the 1, that's our 2. Okay, well, second most common target, and it doesn't look like we. Well, let's see. It looks like we could be done there. So you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like that could have another kick in it. Actually, if I open that up, let me go to the 4. So 1, 2. Let's label it. 1, 2. Well, otherwise you'd have to go 1, 2, 1, 2. I think that plays better as a 3, 4, and then we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We're seeking that 5. Now let me get that into a different color. Let's take this one up a degree. We'll go to micro. Let's get a blue on there. So 1, 2. Oh, actually, I didn't want blue. I want green there. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're chasing that 5. Could be a little bit more there. That looks like classic 4. We're just kind of correcting to a degree. We're going sideways, so it looks like potentially. Oh, sure, I got it. I guess I have to take it up a degree and do it again. So this one would have to go up. All right, it's worth doing that so you don't get lost. So it looks like coming from here, if I go to some micro, we'd have to do it this way. So we'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe, right? So that looks like 1 and 3 are about the same here. So I'd be keeping an eye on whether or not I get. Let's put you in yellow here so we can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, do we overlap? Let's just check that. Right on there. Looks like we don't. So we can hold the. Let's double check. We don't. So you can hold the idea that the impulse is going in. So that idea holds here. Now 1, 2, right, we could easily break it, and then some of this starts to fall apart. But right now, I don't hate this. You got a pretty big sell-off here, so it might be the 4 is here. 1, 2, I'd be very mindful. So I'd set an alert on that right away. Right, I think I will as well because this looks like an interesting one. So I'd want an alert on that. So if I break that, I want to know about it because that might have you working backwards to change that count. Because you can see the potential here. I'm still on a 4, but it looks like you could have one more down. Let's go down to a 2 and see if that looks. You might have a 3 in there. So I'd tentatively place it here, but then you're thinking 1, 2 with a deep 2 going up so you're looking for 3, 4, 5. So it might get you up into this target here for the 3 where we know is our high probability zone for the 3. It's pretty tightly wound, so coming off of the low out of log, you could do a regression channel. So I might do it like that and just say, okay, we're kind of flopping outside here. I don't want to let this go too far, and then I might just go back to, well, here, we can do it either way. We could just go with a traditional channel. Let's go through 2 through 4 and do it through 3, right? So you're pretty self-contained here. Now, as we drift off of it, if it goes too far, then I would just clone this and just bring it down. We don't have the halfway in there, but I'd start with just the half as a candidate for that 4, but then, of course, right, so now we end up with the diagonal, so you'd be looking for the 50 there from the start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3. That would put you right here, but you'd have the break. So here's your next area of interest. Someday I'm going to get that better. Right there. All right, so we'd have the channel, the potential. You can see this kind of playing right now. If we come right there, let's just assume we did. All right, the balance between the 2 and the 4 is not ideal. All right, so this is taking more time. Alternation. Well, this is essentially sideways. So if this comes down here, I guess you could lean into that being sharp. But this is an alternate here. I don't want to suggest that your count isn't just as valid. I'm just kind of giving you something else to put into the mix to watch and see. That would be that should be a tell, because if you break it hard, then you'd be back here thinking, okay, something completed then. So I'd be watching, and I think looks like you are, although you fade your numbers. They're a little hard to see. So if that were the case, right? God, I just can't do it. I can't get it on the first click. Then I'm looking down here, right? Got a nice, you could even be more specific. You got a nice high volume node. Pull that left. Right, it's kind of in line with this prior structure that we were looking at on the larger count. So all of this kind of plays here. Well, now we got to zoom out again. You're getting pretty skinny in there. All right, so all of this being self-contained, at some point you're going to break outside of that, even if we go into log scale. All right, which is, it kind of fries these a little bit here because we get the distortion at the bottom. So I would be kind of very mindful of that. Let's get back into there so I can be more specific about the price points. I'm going to come out of log. So this being 249.32, or pardon me, 248.90, somewhere in that range. I'd be watching really closely here because the possibility, right? That's 1, 2, right? It's just a deep 2. Could be. The time imbalance would play better, so you'd have 1 deep 2. You'd be anticipating a pretty good kick, and then I would start to lean into this idea that we're still seeking the top of the 3. If this comes out of here and this is our pivot low, and we go up and get that, then I'm going to be inclined to think this is all self-contained and it's just one move up here to that resistance level, where we know, or I shouldn't say resistance level, our target level, where we'd have an algo target, we'd have our wave 3 target. A lot of things kind of steering you up towards that here. So Yeah, it makes it kind of tricky as to how to time it. That's not what I want. I want to delete that. So I'd be paying attention right here. So if I were going to trade this, I do note here all of this support down here. So because it stayed down here and we kind of built this little base, you can see right on the edge here, you've got a pretty good shelf of support. So if this were to come down for the 4, you're going to start to get a little bit too extreme. The 4 to the 2 is going to imbalance too much. And then I think you probably go back to your original count. So that being the thought that it's 1 2 1 2, although I'm not sure how you're dealing with this. So it seems like you'd be thinking 1 2 3 4, seeking the 5 to give us the 3, right? Perfectly valid. So all I'm doing is giving you an alternate just to think about here. So it looks like waiting for a local top as re-entry. So we're trying to get into the market in the same place, into the 4. It's just where's the count? How are you dealing with that? I'm curious how you would label that. So I got to assume you're thinking, well, oh shit, now I can't remember if you posted that or I posted that. Did I draw that in? I think you did, right? So 1 2. So if you're putting the 3 there, what are you doing with that? Are you thinking 1 2? Or are you thinking the 2 is over 1 and we go A expand the B 2? I'm sure what you're thinking. Or should the 1 be over here and the 2 be here? Now the 3 4 as labeled could make more sense, but you gotta account for that somehow. But nice how it tests the geometry from the first one too, right? So good work. This is a tricky one. I need one more swing to kind of lean into what we're going to get here. So either go up or break these lows. But as it sits right now, you're just sideways. So it's a little bit of a guesstimate there. If you love it, probably ladder in. If it drops a little bit lower without any real panic, just okay, I'm just gonna ladder in, have an exit point. Might be a break of this pivot. If we start getting down into some of this, that's a pretty good fall. So that would be a function of whether you're trading with leverage or not. Iffy right there. Right now, that I sure do like that. Right, if you could get that. All right, so oh my God, I can go for I go too long. Okay, so there you go, Hippie boy. Well done, good work. All right, let me keep moving here. I'll never get this done. Okay, so back in a second. Okay, guys, next up I've got Zafar with Neo to the dollar. We're on Bitfinex here. So this looks good here. So I've just made the copy over here so we can get a working version of this. Oh, I kind of zooming out a little bit. So off of the correction here, let's put this all back together. Swing, retrace. Did you send this to me in log? No, you did. Okay, so let's come out of log. No, I guess you did, but because I can't make that work without it. Okay, so let's go. What'd you send me? You sent me the daily. So I've got the daily here. Certainly, we have the range. We're going from $4 to $140. Certainly have the range. So, the only thing you didn't do here is just label up the first one. So we complete the leading diag, and okay. So I see per your count, we're looking for this. Let's get these. Minuet. Let's get this in white so we can see it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so perfect leading diag. Well done here. 5 longer than 3, 3 longer than 1. Well, I better double check that here. I'm gonna guess you did. Yeah. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big kicker in the 5. Now, this is kind of gnarly here. So. The only thing so far is that you're not giving me the labeling, right? So you're giving me that there's a triangle here, but you're not putting it in context. So because you're showing here a 5, this would have to be, if this is, well, can't be a 2. So you must be thinking WX since we finished with a 3. So here's what I'm assuming you're thinking is this, right? So we get a WXY into that bit right here. Maybe we hold as an A. Maybe the correction is complete here. It's certainly deep enough. So, okay, maybe, right? So I'd keep that off to the side. Nice kind of little dueling. Well, I guess we have a triangle here and a pennant here. But interesting. So this clearly is a battleground right in through here. A little high volume node to support that. So is this enough here? Not much of a 2. So I'm just going to move this here so I can dig in a little bit better. Well, that's a little gnarly. Let's try it. Let's go down to an 8 here and have a look, see if that helps with the subdivision at all. All right, so one very, very good job here. So you're recognizing there's always an algo on the other side, and if that's an A and we're sticking to B, well, we're in the zone where you might anticipate it, where we'd get if this is going to hold as the B, that makes sense. But you don't have a great 3 here. This is actually kind of looks like let's label it up. So it looks like you'd have 1, 2. Oh, it looks like that'd be 3, 4, 5. Let's get that down to something more reasonable. All right, so this looks like a. You'd have to expand the B. Actually, it looks like because that's a 3. You might have to do WXY. Doesn't matter either way. That gives us our 4 here. So this is it's a little skinny coming out of the chute here. You just chase what's the deepest retracement I get to work with. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives you your internal impulse. A looks like you'd have to do it that way because this looks like a 5 here. So to put the 4 here, I don't think it works here. Now you get a massive imbalance here between the 2 and the 4, but sometimes you get it's what the market gives you. So is it B or is this a completed impulse and we're working on the 2? Well, this all of crypto. I mean, that looks almost identical to the Bitcoin chart. So as we had the drop and then we're basing sideways from that. Well, okay. So possibility here, you're going to squeeze an A wave into that impulse here. So do you have it in here? I can't see. I don't think you do. All right. So let's see. Did you? Nope, you didn't do that one. Okay, so looking down here, okay, right, so we don't have to wonder. All right, so that's where we'd be looking here. So is this 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, of course the 2 is terrible, right? Relatively speaking, here we say. All right, so there's our pivot. 1, 2. No, you don't get as good of a. Looks like you'd have to do a WXY, see, because the 4 relative to the 2 is so bad. Now maybe working on one more push down to get us down here. So you'd go A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, right? So it implies you need one more down. The trade sets up better if we do get that one push down. I'm going to take this one out, right, so we just focus in here. So it's kind of an awkward impulse that gets us up here, but again, I don't see a better way to work that. Already, that's a little. God, do we need to do this in a diag? Well, okay, so here. So here's an alternate on the fly, right? So if you did it this way, then this could be A, B, C. That's not much of a start here, so it actually cleans it up a little bit. So you would just move the start of it over here into the W. Still, oh shit, this could be done. Could be there's more here. But either way, you're gonna like it down here a whole lot better. Let's see here. Let's see if we make this make sense. Gnarly. Neo is not always the most technical. You're kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It still works. Because you have a double bottom down here, you could probably make that work and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the reason I'm leaning into that is because this is a shitty finish right here. So it's pretty much of a 3. So the possibility we can get the 3 here, the 3 here, and then the waterfall, we can call that a straight shot down. So we'd go A, B, C into the W. X could be in. Could be there's a little more to it. But ideally, it's the same thing over and over, guys. Same thing, right? Whether it's here, it's a swing, it's a retracement, right? That's all we're trying to do. So here, for the moment, I'd put it there. A, B, right? So I think it's a function of how broader crypto is going to be trading here. If we're going to go deeper down here, then you'd have to be revisiting this. Right now, I don't see any reason to shy away from the buy down here. Oh, let's go out to a 4 here and just kind of put that in context. Right? So if the 1 is in, the 1, damn it, takes a lot of time. Oh, here we are, May of 20 through, oh, Jesus, that's a full year. So May of 21 to July. 2 months. Yeah, I kind of like your thinking. So your thought being it's A, it's B, and we need, so the time plays better if we do get something like that. So here it's there, right? The algo spot is algo play is here, right? So we're in the pocket regardless of how we end up counting this. There's probably a trade right here off of that reaction. The time imbalance, right, would make you hesitate. So thus, I'd want to do it this way. Show me the reaction, right? And see, you don't have to get this every time. You know, you might get a push out of here. You make a little money. You put your stop at break even. Then you kind of wait and see, right? Do I get it? Is it going to keep going? Is it 1, 2, or are we heading back down lower here? So I'd want to reduce my risk because the count is unclear. I'd want that reaction, and if you get this, well, then you can take that same trade with the pivot down here, and maybe you get that, right? And you're going to have to break that golden zone from the top, which I know you know. So here, or are we going deeper? Well, it looks like your thought is we're going deeper, which means more of crypto. So the only thing you missed here, because it's a candidate, on this side is the median lines. Oh, that's my pivot right here. Now, let me zoom in there, make sure I'm right on it. Let's get rid of this one. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's get you, come here. Right on that corner. This goes back there. Okay, so now let's pull out. Well, in a correction, we want to start looking at shift. That actually plays pretty nicely for what you've got teed up. So we get the whole thing just does it this way, right? So we get this, we come down here. Now you love it. High volume node, all there, right? But I wouldn't shy away from the opportunity that you might catch something there. And again, it may not be that you're going to get something that does this, right? You may just get that. Nothing wrong with that. So your call there, Zafar, as to whether or not you like the idea of the possibility of this 1, 2 and the corrections over here. I don't want to dissuade you or encourage you to take that trade unless you're comfortable with it, but there's a potential trade there. If you let it go and it comes down lower, well, you know, you saved yourself a small loser. Either way, I wouldn't give that a whole lot of room because it certainly could go either way. The challenge is that this is the A wave. It's a really ugly 5 coming down, and it's hard to finish it because if per the triangle, right, it can't be the 2. So the only thing left would be the 4, and then you'd have to go 1, 2. Right, it doesn't quite work, which has me thinking WXY, but it could be WXYXZ, right? So we could have an alternate there. So you have some complexity here. It's unclear, right? So of all the things that have shown today we've looked at, this would be, I think, the most in need of a little more time in the oven, right? Let's see what's cooking here. But your work looks good, but just don't forget, right? Don't leave something unlabeled. If you get 5 up, you know, put it in context, right? Throw the 1 on that, or the 3, or whatever the case is, right? If you come down here, okay, well, you were good on the A, but you know, show me the subdivision. How are you thinking about it? Because I struggled to get that to finish as a 5, so I'd be curious. While you've got the triangle labeled, put that in context so I can get a feel. It looks like you can go 1, 2 there, but then the 4 relative to that baby little 2. So you see the complexity, and then are you finishing here? Can you finish here? I don't think you can finish with a very good 5 there. So thus the alternate. All right, so very good start here. Let's just tighten it up a little bit on getting all of that subdivision labeled. Like you hear me love it when I see guys with all the subdivision here. It looks like you got another one here. Oh, well, it looks like you'd have to do it that way. You got more subdivision you could put in there. All right, so try and get all the dominant swings accounted for. Right, it'll help you, and it helps me just get a sense of how you're progressing. You'd want to account for that down here because we got a new low. But then it's just the practice of doing it for your own benefit, not just for me as a educator, but to kind of track how you're progressing. But it will help you, right? So you're gonna have, if something changes, then you got to go back and say, well, does that still work as a 5, right? In terms of where it is, right? And I'm not necessarily talking about this leading diag, right? That's pretty clearly done. And oh shit, here I am schooling you, and I've got to school myself in the middle, right? So unless it's a Can we get a 535 in there? Because that sure looks like a completed impulse there. So it looks like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Even, oh, so I guess you'd have to do it this way. So you'd have to do it like this. Oh yeah, you'd have to do it here because you can get a little diag in there, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So you'd have to do it that way. So you still have the 5, but you're going to have to finish that as a 3, and it looks like you can get the 5. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get the C relative to the A relative to the B to fit into the whole diag. Okay, good job. Good job. Good start, right? Just a little more detail. I think you'll be much next one should show some improvement. All right. Okay, good job. All right, next up, Litecoin. Okay. All right, next up, I got CZA with a look at Litecoin. Now, this is some really, really nice work, CZA. So we're going all the way back to 2014 here when it hits Poloniex. I completely agree with your count here. This wick here is so out of context here, I would just ignore it. So the idea that we went 1, 2, 3 sideways into the 4 via that triangle and then get the kicker in the 5 makes perfect sense. I should note we're out here on a 2-day. And we are in log scale. We're going from, essentially 50 cents to almost 480. Now, the count here is, this is some really nice technical work. So if we make the assumption here, let's see, the only thing we didn't do is get the highest degree here. If we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm just got to put them somewhere. Let's get them up here to a, all right, so we got a reasonable target down here. Now, what's interesting about this, right? Everybody thought, oh, wow, Litecoin, that Walmart news turns out to be accurate, and we see this rollout into Walmart. That will be interesting, but nonetheless, so this is a ballsy count. This is ignoring the news and just looking at the TA. So coming off of this as a 1-2, well, we can't quite make the impulse work the same way, so we can't go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, pardon me. We could do it through a 5, 3, 5, 3, 5 leading diag into the 1 of the 3. But if we're seeking the 3 here, which I think is the implication of this count here, that we're still in search of the 3 relative to the the double top. I guess this is our all-time high. Our all-time high being 4 and change. So he's working through the correction. I mean, this is good work, right? So we're A, then we're going A, COVID low, B into the C. This was a count I saw a lot in Bitcoin, and now looking to finish the 2 down here. So we'd have a 1 and then the complexity into a sideways 2. Now, what you'll note here, which some of you may not recognize, well, members will, because I've shown it to you before, but those of you YouTube subs that have not worked with the Fib channel, this is just a beautiful example of it here. So here's the 0 line. He's working off of these 2 pivots here all the way across and then working his way up. Then we've got 25, 3.75. So he's doing a little combo here of the way Gann would do it, breaking these in quarters, but then including the golden zone. So as we work off of the 4 here going up into the 5, as we look at that channel, so here's the internal channel, pardon me. Where's your, let's see, I got to highlight it here. So here's your 0 line, right? So then we're going 1.25, 25, 375, 50, golden zone 75, 875, 100. So he's going from 0 to 100 with all of that subdivision in. There's a little interesting little twist by adding the golden zone. And of course, you'll note, right, what happens, right? Golden zone, retrace, golden zone. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up. So we go down here. So it looks like this is a clean 5. Nice detail in here, CZA, which I would expect nothing less from you because I know you can do it. So there's the A wave. Now up we rip here. Now with Bitcoin, we've been thinking. Might have to look at this in Bitcoin context. So if we put this in as the A on the way down here, and then clear impulse here. I mean, there's probably more complexity here, but to simplify it, it's a 3 into a B, and then we can work it. Well, you'd have to do it this way. Oh, we'd have to look at this as the ABC coming up here. Let me take that down a degree, and we'll go I'll put it in light blue. So we get the ABC here. So you've got A, B. Oh, pardon me. I lost my spot there. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, to give us the C. So. All right, see, that's why we do the labeling All right, let's get that something smaller, and we'll go back to that blue. Okay, so my bad, excuse me for that. All right, so that gives us our B. All right, so A, B, C. All right, so we double top, essentially we double top into the wave one pivot here. So then we correct with this big sideways. Here we have a target down here for the 5. Now this is what's ballsy about this, is that we get a golden zone test here. So we've got 5 down into a 1, 3 into the golden zone. So there's only a couple of things that I would add here, CZA, because this is just beautiful. Whoops, this is just beautiful work. Let me scrunch this down a little bit. Well, there's 2 I see. So I like the channel work here and kind of projecting out for the 3, 4, and the 5 down to your target here. So essentially, it's a return to this prior structure. So if we go all the way out here and draw that across, we can incorporate this, and he may very well have been, he just didn't draw it all the way, or CZA, you didn't. But this being that target down here, oh God, I kind of screwed you up there. So that's, I think, how you gave it to me. So 1, A, B, looking for the C to come down here to double bottom here, or prior resistance becomes the support yet again. So really, if you look at this, we're in quite a range. I'm kind of tempted to play with the wolf range here, but A, B, C looking for that 5 down. Now, if it doesn't happen this way, and the Walmart news ends up being something that takes the market up, well, we'll have to be back here and revisit this, because then you'd be probably putting the 2 over here, A, B, or yeah, well, you probably have to. Could you do it? I have to see if you can work a WXY into that, because you'd be living with, you'd got to work that 3 in here. So I'm getting way ahead of myself, just kind of thinking alternates here. You'll note here that this green line here is the negative 23.6. So coming from this pivot here, we don't make it here. But if we were to come down here, might be something to think about here. This is just one more technical confluence point right at his target, right? And then you see the additional channel here. If I fatten that up to a 2, you see, oh, pardon me, it's a set of median lines. Interesting. So I thought it was a channel. That's why I got to fatten them up so I can see what you guys drew. Always easier when you do it yourself. So I was going to draw that in, but you already had it there. It's just, it stands out a little better. Oh, if I do it, let's do default here so I can see it a little better, right? So the red, right, always is, like a bull to a red cape. So I always do the center line so I can see what you're doing here. So that you had it there, well done. So I was going to add that here, and then the only other thing I would consider is you probably haven't. Well, you certainly do. Let's zoom in there. We're on a 2-day. Let's go to a daily, and can we get this drawn in here on this lower degree? Now you're looking for an impulse. Well, it looks like that's your higher one. So that looks pretty interesting to me. If you're going to get a kick out of this, and then I would maintain this, because that's classic Elliott, right? So we're using the 1, 2 as a channel, project for the 3. Now, if we could, there's all different ways we could hit that, and since it's not corrective, I would not go to the shift. I would stay with original recipe. So there's a pretty good target for that 3, 4, and then it could just play just beautifully here for this 2. So I think this is a function of confirming that news today, and then how does the market respond to it? But you can see you've got some nice confluence targets here. That looks pretty nice. And then the only other thing that I might do here is just add in the wave 3 targets, which I know you would know to do. All right, so do it like that. So interesting. All right, so you might catch this a little bit earlier here. I mean, this is second most common, 127 to 138. So that would play pretty well. Back in for the 4. Well, I'd be looking left here for some resistance points, depending on if we get this, and if we do, is there a resistance point or some price action we can work with here? That might do it. 3, 4, 5 down into this. Put your C there. Put your 2 there. If you don't, it's too sharp, and if you go shift here, you're probably likely. Well, we could probably do it this way. Oh, yeah, you don't even bother doing it. We don't need to do that just yet. Let's go back to original. All right, we'll see. So if it's drifting lower, then I might look at putting the shift on and then adding some runners on the side. But right now the channel is perfectly fine, perfectly adequate. So then you might look at this and say, oh, here, let's see if I can do it. This is just as well, right? We can bring some of that prior structure here, right? We're gonna test that again for the 2 down here before we go off to the moon. So you got a clear exit point here. For me, if this does this and we kick out of here, I'd be rethinking the count, right? Particularly if you get something that looks impulsive here. This could just be part of it, right? You'd need something bigger there to spook you out of it. But you got a nice corner pocket here. So of course, right, as long as that pivot holds, 80% odds we get there. I mean, there you'd be at the 100. Good one, right? And ballsy, right? So nobody wants to short. Well, I guess we're getting a little bit of a sell-off here. Nobody wants to short Litecoin today because of that bullish news. Let's get that right on there. But look what's already happened. Market, responded to it, and then perhaps rethinking that. It's just great work, CZA. Just a little detail. You might have just finished that up with. If I go all the way back to yours, which was the 2-day, boy, that's a beautiful confluence point. If you could buy it down here at that level. Now, do we ever see that level again? Well, the TA sure implies it. It sure does, because it's very unlikely you'd be thinking 1, 2. Well, shit. I mean, I suppose you can, but it's hard to get this. You'd have to go ABC into the 2 here and work this as probably a WXY, and then this would be 1, 2. But even still, then, all right, it's going to require a pretty good sell-off here. God, come on. All right, so here being well, you kind of got a wave 3 target here. So if this comes up shy here, if the golden zone keeps it from getting to the 100, then you might, it'd be time to seriously rethink some alternates here. Maybe we're not going to get that far down, right? That would be, go from 469 to 22, right? Something has gone wrong with Litecoin. Or it's being, we can maybe say it a little bit more generously, it's being repriced. All right, guys, there we go. Good job. CZA, okay. Looks like 1 or 2 more. Oh, I got ZZ back in. Okay, I got Grant F here with Bitcoin Cash, which I haven't looked at in a while. Now, Grant F always makes it easy for me because he does pretty much tease it up for me. I don't have to make much commentary, and rarely is there an alternate. So here, we got a 2-hour here. Oh, shit, is that our all-time high? I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us an A. Where's our B? Oh, he's still looking for the B over here, which makes sense given the size of the A. Oh, I mean that. June is that? No, so okay. So that's a pretty good. That's we're on a 2-hour chart here, so that's May 11th. Why do I feel like there's more? No, it's not. I'm going to log scale here. Just give me a second. Oh, there's our COVID. Like, geez, I'm going to have to go to the daily. Okay, yeah, I didn't think that was it. That was it. Okay. All right, so if we put this in a larger context, you'd be thinking 1 A, B, C into the 2. Looks like if that's 1, 2, you can get the impulse to play. He's seeking the C down here. That is log scale. Well, you certainly got the range. All right, so let's, what did you send it to me in 2? Did you send it to me in log? No, you didn't. Okay. So let's go back here to 2 hours. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hard to miss it. That gives us the A, right? So we've got the first at the larger degree. We've got the A that brings it all the way down here, right? Via the clear impulse. Although this is a little wonky. 3, that would be your 3. Oh, looks like that's triangle. No, we couldn't do it. So you have to do ABC 1, 2, 1, 2. Gets you down here. I don't know if it matters anymore. Right here down at this 1. Now I can get a clean 5 up here to give me an A. But it's setting up the shark pattern, which is the harmonic which he always includes. Now my only hesitation on this is I prefer harmonics off of dominant pivots. So they'll if you're using software or an algorithm to do it, they'll fire all over the place. I have a little less conviction in a harmonic that uses a secondary pivot. But nonetheless, there it is, right? So it is a retrace, and there's structure there. You can kind of see the structure that kind of held that pivot, right? So as a starting point, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us the internal A, but we're after the larger degree B. So the thought would be A, and then we go into a W. So here's the 3 down gives us the W. So it's ABC into the W, ABC into the X that gives us the fin of the shark. And then we'd be coming down here, we'd be looking for 5 to complete the internal B. So it's a little hard to see it. Oh, well, he's got it. He's got it here. So you're on the larger, you'd be A, B, C, and then you'd finish with that C to give you, because here, so it'd be A, we essentially via the WXY, so we're expanding with the X. Oh, Grant, I got to double check that. I don't know if the X, I got to double check because whether, I'm immediately looking for my Elliott Wave cheat sheets. I see a better way to count that. I got to double check as to whether you can expand the X that far, right? So, we'll go with it as is, right? So you got two little variables here. I'll DM you, Grant, because I off the top of my head, I can't remember if we can go that far with the X. Nonetheless, so the 3 and the 3 makes sense. So coming down here, I mean, I guess the only other way you'd have to do that. How else could we do that, Grant? You don't have any decent retracement until you get here, so you're kind of working with the best that you've got here. So I like this as one self-contained unit because there's no decent 2 here. So this may play better as a flat. Grant, my instinct is to say we can't take the X that far, but then I could be wrong. Right? So, but you could do it as a flat. So you could do a 3, 3, and now you need to finish with a 5 here because we know we can expand the B that far. So it frustrates me. I can't pull that off the top of my head, but the whole setup is bringing us down here to the golden zone, right? So that's the idea, and where he's looking to enter the market, right? To look for per his count and the way he's reading it, it was taking us up here to finish the C with a 5, so it would be A, B, finish the C with 5. All of these targets tied to the entry zone down here, and then what is he does, which he does quite well, is I would take that up a little further, Grant, right? So if you're going to go for it, you might as well. Wait, is that where's our target? Oh, there it is. Pardon me. You did have it, or maybe you're thinking 618. That must be what you're thinking. Let me draw that up. So with mine, yeah, I think, well, that's 100%. Either one of those, I mean, that's a high class problem. Trying to decide where to take that third profit if you got that. So the first question: do we come down here? What does the shape take? This has been all very ugly and a bit hard to read because there's no 1, 2. It's just waterfall sideways and looks like we might with the potential, right? You don't want to assume that we're going to go down there. Oh, but you can kind of look here. We seem to be bumping into some support structure here at the 38. So this needs a little more juice to come down here and finish this. But then, here's the potential. Right? So we're on a 2-hour. Maybe you go down to a 30-minute and look for that one to get into it. Right now, you'd look for this to complete that. Now, this is a personal choice as to whether, if you get a 5 out of there, are you willing to give back that much, or do you want to take full profit here, maybe only take 30, 40% of it here, looking for this to carry on. And well, here as he's drawn it. Three fat targets, nice TA, good confluence. I'm going to look that up. All right, very well done. Nice job. So guys, here's Bitcoin Cash, right? It's underloved. I pay attention to this one. All right, very nice. Shit, we can pull support zone all the way over. Right, this would be, regardless of how this ultimately ends up getting counted, this is a nice little trade, regardless of how far it goes. Low risk, high reward, just what you like, remember. Okay, last up, I've got FEN 16 with VET to the dollar to the dollar tether on Binance here. So I just backed it up so I could get some perspective on your count. This looks pretty solid. Here's our COVID low. 1, 2. Oh, it's good work here. That's hard to argue with. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know you sent me a 1 hour. I just went out to the 4 to get some perspective. Looks like there's some Monty magic on here, all these support and resistance lines, which is a nice touch. 1, 2, 3. This looks like a solid 4 here. And I am in log scale. And did you send it to me in log? I don't think you did. All right, because that's you're on the 60, so I understand why you didn't. Okay, well, we can get some perspective here. So if this is a nice touch here, WXYXZ, right? So we get the double or the triple zigzag. So with that, now coming off of this low, so let's zoom in here, as you've noted it here per your pull there. Okay, so let's go down in here, and we got a 2 hour here. All right, so this looks beautiful, right? Great work, FEN. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there might be a triangle there. So it doesn't matter, right? So we get to the same 5. 1, 2. Oh, that's interesting. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you're stuck with it. Well, I suppose you go either way. You could complete it here and do the 2 here, but I don't dislike the way you're counting it. So you're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Be my guess is how you're doing that to finish that 5. There, you're 2, 3, 4, 5. Works just fine. It gets us to the impulse. So we maintain the impulse in there. Nice triangle into the 4, right? Very pretty, right? So we get sort of sharp, short and sharp, and then sideways here for the triangle into the 4, and then a clean finish up for the 5. Now this actually, I really like this count here. So if I dig in here, and let's go to what you sent me, which is the 60, and let me take it out of log now. I prefer this, right? So we've seen a lot of, because all of crypto did the same thing. We've seen a lot of this kind of waterfall here, where the struggle was to think 1, 2, and then 3, and then this is the 4. Right? I much prefer the way you're counting this, which is 1 A, B, C into the 2 here, and then rather than the extension here as the 3, we're getting 3, 4, 5 to complete the A. Then A, B, C into the B, right? Nicely done. And then it tees it all up for another leg lower. Let's bring this in here so it fits with the way you've drawn it. All right, all of this, bring this over a touch. All right, so all of that looks pretty good. So A, B, right? So every swing accounted for. The pattern is rock solid. Now, that doesn't mean that it's inevitable that we do this, right? So when I say that, right now, at this snapshot, at this moment in time, this count looks very favorable. But you don't want to assume, right? So this could easily rip this way, right? It could go either way out of this. But right now, based on the way this is being counted, you have all of the ingredients for that to take another leg lower. Now, of course, you can just look at this and say, well, clearly there was some rejection down here, right? We did this, right? Just like all of crypto, and the majority of crypto rejected that lower price. Now, that could have been just reactionary. Could have been this is just liquidation that drove it down so far, and really without levered traders, you wouldn't have had that extreme. But based on that, you can certainly complete a 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Extension in the 5th, right? Much like here, we had the extension in the 1. Comes right back to some long-term support. I'm going to, that's a weekly or a monthly. Right? So now the response to that, as it's kind of reacting and rebasing here, it's not uncommon to see that happen in a similar area here. So as we went through this triangle, now we're just kind of dealing with that. One more leg lower, you'd like it all the more in terms of the buy potential, and now you're right back at the golden zone. So from here to here, you'd be in the golden zone. And of course, here, I'll just flush it out a little bit for you. All right, so we can, oh, it looks like mine's off a touch. Get that right in line with yours. Come up just a hair. There we go. Okay, so A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, what are we going to have there? If we get it, which let's not get ahead of ourselves, it's just potential right now. All right, so then you have your golden corner, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to recognize the potential. It's just the whole area, right? It's pretty good resistance, support. Now, can we get some support there? Well, we know an algorithm's going to be there waiting for it. Doesn't mean it can't go through. It's just we know that there'll be a reaction there. So if I'm trading this, I'm going to watch. I want that, and then I want that. And stop right there. Well, go a little deeper. Right? All the better, right? So I see something like that. Now my stop's under the 65, and I'm trying to get into the 3 of the 1 of the next degree. Right, then this one, right? There's your money ball. So he's looking to try and get it right here at the golden zone. I like that, right? So it's just individual choice. But what I would suggest you don't do is don't go full load here. I would take a portion of what you want to allocate to this trade at the golden zone. Let it react. Now get a little house money. Now you can be a little more aggressive here. You're already in a slight profit. Well, that's probably not far enough to move the stop. I'd want to keep the stop there. Your risk is so low relative to reward, right? So careful about putting yourself in a position where something like that could blow you out. But something like that, now you're trying to get into 3 of the 1 to get that to complete. Of course, always an algo on the other side, so you'd have to be mindful of that, right? This guy will be here waiting. Well, look at that for a free draw, right? So, you could look at that and say, oh, I understand why it runs into resistance there, and kind of the same thing, right? You look at that and say, well, that was some resistance before, right? Could kick again. So that's how I'd be watching for that. But first thing we do, we got to complete this 5. If it's going to play as a 5, it sure does set up beautifully, right? I mean, so this would be very much on my radar. In fact, this is now on my radar. I think, Fen, you've been eyeballing this one for a while, because I think this is not the first time you submitted this, so I know you've been all over this one. That's great work, by the way. Very, very solid. All right, guys. Well, shit, with that, I'm exhausted. God, it turns out live streams are easier. This took me, I don't know how many hours I've been at this. Quite a few. Okay, so there we go. Plenty of content. Again, sorry about the lack of the live stream, but we'll get that sorted out, and we'll be on for tomorrow for trads. I know we get... Oh, well, so much interest in crypto, but we'll stay consistent. We've got plenty of opportunity in trads and plenty of, members and I think some YouTube subs that keep an eye on the trads as well. So with that, I'll sign off here, and you look for the detailed notes on this and where you can find any coins that might be of interest to you, right? Rather than sit through, good God, this is going to be over an hour now. Okay, guys, have a good one. We'll be back with you in the morning, and until then, all right, good try.